Hey, welcome to Bible Tech. You have to have a decent amount of... It's so easy, anybody can use. Get a few comments. Somehow fly one of these. You don't see a hobby. And if you want to rewind or fascinating. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm just doing a quick test of the audio. And... Hey, welcome to Bible Tech. Alrighty, so we got the audio working finally here. I don't know, lots of little glitches today. Even nerds have them, right? Well, I've had a lot of technology changes, so I guess that's not terribly unexpected. And I need to make it so I'm not listening to myself, because you can't actually work that way. Alrighty. Not lag anyway. Today we're going to be going over some questions as usual, and if you have questions and you're watching this live stream right now and you're watching on YouTube, you can actually go to the right hand side of the screen and type in any questions you have, and hopefully you'll see them over here on my screen. That's how it works here, and until I get questions, I go through questions people ask me throughout the week. Sometimes I don't really have a whole lot to go off of, so I'll try to answer questions that people ask online, and I'll just answer them live there. So without further ado, I am going to show you guys my screen with some questions I have up. And here we go. There we are. Alrighty, so let's answer some questions. I'm going to go over to my comments here. And great, so we have spam report. Fun stuff. Alrighty, I like how nothing happens after I click report and it doesn't go away. Thanks Google, that's great. That's fun. Okay, so this person said, hey, thanks so much. I still get so many comments on this one video. And I'm glad people appreciate it. I do wish somehow I could make my other videos work with the Google algorithm. And man, and the other funny thing is, I answer people, and I made an updated version of this video, and people still only find the old one. So thanks, Google algorithm. That's great. Real fun. Thankfully, I do have other questions that have been asked in email. So if you guys watch my channel, not many of you actually return, but if you do, Mr. Paul Taft did ask what Thinkpad he should get. He got, he had wanted a Thinkpad laptop that had touchscreen yoga functionality, like a 2-in-1, and could be reasonably fast, do some business booking on, watch a movie on, come with a pen, etc. So I recommended the latest one I can think of off the top of my head, which is the X380Y. And he asked for something on a budget below $500. Now that's asking for a little bit much, but ThinkPads are great because after they've been used by a business, and usually lately so, they can be found for an absolute bargain. So I recommended the Thinkpad Yoga 370, and that should satisfy his needs. Now, if you haven't seen my website yet, I highly recommend you check it out at bottle.tech, where I have tons of free little guides and stuff. You have the privacy guide if you're concerned about privacy, which you should be. And that privacy guide will show you in steps, easy to hard, on how to become more private and safe online. I have the free stuff, which I recently redid from practically the ground up. And I added a ton of things. I made it more easy to sort through what you would actually want. And I separated it out by operating system. Now, I should say, mostly by cross-platform and Windows only, because, well, there's pretty much all the software I use is cross-platform, and if I use something unique, it's probably Windows only. I don't usually use a Mac. I have one sitting under my desk that I'm not using. But I'm usually a Linux user, so cross-platform, tons and tons of free software. It's great. I'm about to add some things too to this list, and I think they'll be helpful for everyone. But the thing that gets the most hits on my webpage is the used ThinkPad Buyer's Guide. And yeah, the used ThinkPad Buyer's Guide is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically a way to get a laptop for almost nothing. And that is really, really cool. Really appreciate that comment there. But yeah, it's a great guide. You can get a computer for under $100 that is actually functional. And let's see if you can see my face here. Make that a little smaller. I just reset a ton of things on my computer, so nothing is quite right here as it should be. I had this way cleaner before. Okay, there we go. Alright, so let's look at more channel comments. As you can tell, I'm not terribly enthused today. I have taken like 3 weeks off the live streams because just everything and its mother is going on with me. I was hoping to be a little bit more positive, but yeah, stuff happens. So, I am working on some videos though. Next video you guys are going to see are going to be about this mouse. That is a review of an $8 gaming mouse from Five Below or wherever you can find it. That's the PBX Lord. And it's a pretty decent mouse. I did some gameplay with it, and hopefully that'll be coming out probably by evening tomorrow. After that, we're going to be doing a backup guide. Now, backup is probably the most important thing you can learn with technology, besides actually being comfortable with your technology at all. And it seems that most people don't know how to back up at all, and a lot of companies try to get into that backup space and automate things for you, and they fail miserably, which really confuses things. So I really, really hope I can get an excellent backup video done that will show people how to back up everything they need to back up. Now, when it comes to iPhones in particular, which I have, and I also have like 5 Android devices around, things could be a lot easier. Apple intentionally makes it difficult, I believe, to back up your stuff in a way that makes sense. Pretty much every IT guy I know is kind of confused at exactly how synchronizing on iTunes works and where you should be able to find your files, and It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I feel like there should be a lot more clear ways to do it. So I just don't use iTunes. I just don't do that. Yeah, sure, you can do an iPhone backup, and I recommend doing that through iTunes, but actually getting those files on your computer that you no longer want on your phone, it'd be great if we could make that more clear, Apple. Thanks, guys. Now, Google did something great with that. Google has Google Photos, which is an absolute godsend. Unfortunately, the devil tainted it before it got to your phone. And the fact that Google just spies on everyone and utilizes their data in ways that you don't want it to be used, and they censor people left and right. So, while Google is technically probably the best phone experience you can have if you buy first party, which means a Google Pixel, yeah, sure, the UI isn't necessarily as pretty as an iPhone, but it is easier to use. You're going to be able to have all your photos and videos backed up on Google Photos for free, which is great, and it will automatically clear space off of your phone for you. Apple has nothing like this in the free tier. And even in the paid tier, I'm not even quite sure exactly how that functions. And I gotta play around with it a little bit more, but suffice it to say, I don't recommend it anyway. You shouldn't be paying someone to rent out storage space on their computer to back up your stuff. It's just not a good idea. Just try to avoid cloud services wherever possible if you care about privacy, which I do. So what I typically do with the iPhone is I plug it into my computer, open my photo manager app, and just import the pictures right from there onto my computer. Now, some problems can happen with this. One is that there's usually a checkbox in photo management applications that says something along the lines of, do you want to remove any images that you've imported? Most of the time I would, except for the fact that, hey, maybe there's some images I want to keep on my phone, treasured photos, maybe some sarcastic memes, maybe, a wallpaper for the phone. It's just, things are good. They should be way easier than this, is what I'm trying to say. And it's about as painful as it can be on an iPhone for how much they trumpet simplicity. Yeah, sure, it's simple if you are constantly shelling out money to their backup service and shelling out way more money than you should have to for their actual devices. I will say I do appreciate Apple in other ways. It is probably the best out-of-the-box experience you can get. The problem is not everybody can afford it. And that's why I suggest people use Linux wherever possible. Hey Mike, thanks for showing up. I'm glad to see you. Hope everything's going well with you. If you guys haven't seen my friend Mike, he's a marketing expert and consultant. You can just look him up on YouTube, Mike Gaston, and I highly recommend his channel. He's got way better content creation capabilities than I do, and is far more professional, so I highly recommend that. And he also has a website. I think it's MikeGaston.com. I could be wrong on that. He has some great stuff. And while most of the time I don't like email newsletters, his is great. This is great. Great tips for marketing your business and sometimes just being a better person. Really being able to just sift through the nonsense. And there's a lot of nonsense in today's world. And some people say that's going off of the main point of his channel, but I like it. It's good stuff. Let's hope he doesn't get canceled though, right guys? So yeah, so iPhones are actually what I use myself, but I have a hard time recommending them because I feel like if you want to do anything beyond what Apple expects you to do, you're going to just have a hard time. And the reason I use an iPhone is because they're the only consumer option that advocates for privacy at all. Now, whether or not they actually hold to that by their code, we don't know exactly, and there's no way to know functionally without reverse engineering, which Apple is going to sue you over. They're currently in the process of suing a company for doing exactly that. Whereas the Android, while it is owned by Google, there is the Android open source project, which is Android without theoretically the Google stuff in it, although there have been found to be bits and pieces of Google stuff in there, and people are going out of their way to remove that, and they make things like Graphene OS phones. Graphene OS is probably the most secure option, but you can't just buy a phone with it on there, and none of the major apps are going to support it. So that stinks. But if you want a privacy phone and you don't have a lot of technological know-how, iPhone is probably the way to go. Go into the settings and disable privacy tracking or advertiser customization and tracking, and turn off all the cloud functionality. And it's going to be probably a pretty privacy-centric phone as far as I can tell. If you have more technology know-how, I recommend Graphene OS on ironically, the Google Pixels. So that's probably the way to go for that. Let's see if I got... Let's see if I got any other questions here. Oh, I did get one other one. I forgot all about it already. Ankush Shandil, if I'm saying his name right, wants to ask, should I buy a ThinkPad Yoga X1 User Student? What would be a good price? Well, the problem is when people ask me a good price and it's a different country, I don't really know what to say, because it really depends. When you're buying anything, a good price is whatever you can get it for wherever you're at, and within the time you need it, right? And that's true for everywhere. Now, in our current global economy, most of the time you can get something from one country shipped to another. That's not always the case with tariffs and taxes for it to be reasonable, though. So in this case, I'm going to have to tell Mr. Shandil, or Miss Shandil, I don't know, sorry, that I don't know exactly for his country, but I would look at your equivalent to local classified listings like Craigslist and eBay, if there's an ebay.in, I think there is, and just see what the best price you can get for is. Now, I do have a ThinkPad buyer's guide, which I think this person's actually coming from, and I'm going to just suggest you look at the eBay buying portion of that. Alrighty, so keep an eye out for those new videos coming out on backup. I'm going to have one on password management soon, and I think these videos are going to become a little bit more popular than my other existing content because they answer questions a lot of people are asking. If you have more questions, please ask me questions on my website, which is bubble.tech, which is right below my head here. Bubble.tech. My email address is right there at the top. You just click it, send me an email, and I will likely make a video off of it. And you would be surprised how much this encourages me, because every time I get someone asking me a question about something, I almost immediately make a video on it. I haven't been getting a lot of questions that can be generated into videos, so I haven't made a lot of videos. This isn't how it should be, and yet it is. So, I will catch you guys later. Hey, welcome to Bubble Tech. You have to have a decent amount of... It's so easy, anybody